Hey there, welcome. It's Christina Johnson here, and I have 6 tips for you today on how to eat healthy or fairly healthy while you're traveling. So I've actually had, I think it's been 3 different conversations with members of the Emerge Weight Loss Program this week who are getting ready for trips, whether it's just like a quick day trip somewhere, a weekend trip, or even longer vacations. And they were wanting practical ideas on how to stick with eating healthy to avoid gaining weight while they're traveling, but also still be able to enjoy their trip. And so I figured there's lots of people out there who are traveling this summer and have plans coming up. And so I wanted to share just some practical tips with you on how to eat fairly well while you're traveling. So let me know first in the comments. Put a 1 in the comments if you have any travel plans coming up, if this is something that is relevant to you. And also I'd love to hear where you're traveling to. My husband and I are going to Alabama and Georgia in about a month at the end of July, beginning of August. And I will tell you, we love to travel. So we will often go on day trips places. Sometimes we go on weekend trips, and we take longer, 10-day vacations as well. And so I've really had to figure out through my own practical experience and trial and error how to eat pretty healthy while I'm traveling. And, so the tips that I have for you today are really, it's how I handle traveling. And it does vary a little bit depending on the type of trip you're going on, if you're driving, if you're flying, if you're in a hotel, if you're Airbnb. So I'm just going to give you some general thoughts that can kind of apply pretty well no matter what you're doing. But know too, this is something that we dive into with coaching clients, because part of making clean eating a lifestyle is figuring out how do you manage it when you're on vacation, or when it's the holidays, or when it's your birthday or a celebration. So that's what a clean eating lifestyle is all about. It's figuring about how to make it fit into your day-to-day life. And traveling is a common situation that can derail people. It's really easy to not have a plan and to just kind of go off the tracks when you're traveling. So let's dive in and start with my 6 tips for you. Okay, tip number 1. So this is kind of just a mindset thing before you leave. That is, before you go on your trip, set a realistic expectation for yourself. So depending on what the trip is, how long it is, maybe your goal is to eat really, really well like you normally would, and to continue with losing weight. Or maybe it's a different type of trip where you do want to enjoy it. You want to loosen up the expectations a little bit. So maybe your goal is just to avoid gaining 10 pounds. Maybe you just want to maintain your weight during the trip. So I just encourage you to think before you go on the trip and to be realistic with yourself. What is your expectation? Are you going to try and eat really, really clean? Or are you just going to try and make do, make the best choices with what's available to you? So that's the first tip, is just be realistic with yourself and think through what is your expectation. Okay, but tip number 2 is to take time to plan before you go on your trip. I cannot stress this enough. Every time I travel, whether it's just a day trip somewhere or a weekend trip or a long vacation, I always think through my plan for food. I sometimes will plan out a full menu of what I'm going to be eating, or I'll prepare food to bring with me. I'll think about what snacks. I'll go to the store before we leave and make sure I've got stuff to bring with me. So I highly encourage you, set aside even 30 minutes before you travel to think through what you're going to be eating while you're on vacation. Because in all honesty, when I'm on vacation, I don't want to spend a lot of time stressing about, finding a healthy restaurant to eat at, or feeling bad because I didn't make a healthy choice. And, in all honesty too, I don't want to completely go off the rails and eat whatever I want, because then I just don't feel as good. And I don't want to feel tired and achy and have my stomach upset or just not feel good when I'm on vacation. I want to feel good and have energy to enjoy my vacation, but I also want to be able to enjoy food. And so it's really about finding that balance. So that's why I always think through, what am I going to be eating before I leave? So that kind of goes into my next few tips. So tip number 3 is to bring food with you for while you're in the car or on the plane. Because honestly, a lot of times if you have a longer travel day, 3, 4 or more hours, whether you're driving somewhere, there's not always good healthy options for places to pick up food. If you're in airports, it's not always convenient or easy or good timing with when your flights are. And so I always like to have food with me for travel days. And so often what I will do, like the night before we travel, maybe I'm making something for supper, a stir fry or chicken or whatever, and I'll just make extras that I can take with me for the travel day. So I have bought those like little thermos food jars. Those are great. So I can heat up something before I leave, put it in the food jar. It stays hot for hours. And then I have a meal ready to go. I don't have to take time to find somewhere to eat when I'm traveling. And I know I'll have a good healthy meal on the road. Same thing for planes. I will often bring a meal with me, something that will travel well. It can take some creativity. And, even if I'm in the car too, maybe I'll bring a small cooler along and have food in there. So that is my first tip, is bring food with you for your travel day, a meal if you're going to be traveling over mealtime, but then also some healthy snacks. I know one thing is when we're traveling, it's easy just to get in that habit of snacking and wanting road trip snacks. So bring some healthy snacks with you, like beef jerky is a great one. There's a lot of healthy beef sticks out there. I will often bring some kind of trail mix. I might make my own with some nuts and seeds, some unsweetened dried fruit. That is a great snack when you're on the road trip. Fruit can be another good one, or maybe some veggies and hummus or veggies and guac. Again, if you just have a small cooler, it's really easy to bring some of these things with you. So there's a few little road trip snack ideas for you. So that is my third tip, is to bring food with you for while you're traveling. It's way easier most of the time than trying to find some place to stop. Okay, tip number 4, this is a big one. I always try to stay somewhere that has, at a bare minimum, a fridge and microwave, but usually we find somewhere that has at least a small kitchenette or sometimes even a fully stocked kitchen. So if we're gonna be somewhere for a few days, we'll often get an Airbnb that has a kitchen with like pots and pans and everything we'll need in it. But even most hotels, you can find at least a small kitchen area with like a burner, a couple burners to at least, make a few things. So that is the 4th tip, is to look at where you're staying and really try to choose a place that has some kind of small kitchen area, but at least a fridge and microwave. Okay. Tip number 5. This is a big one. And so this is how I kind of plan our food for when we're traveling. So my husband and I, our usual strategy is to prepare our own meals 2 times a day and to eat out once a day. So what that usually looks like is we almost always prepare our own breakfast. I just find if you can cook a healthy breakfast and start your day with a healthy meal, number 1, that's going to help you feel full, but also it's just going to put you in a mindset to make good choices for the day. So we always prepare our own breakfast. Sometimes that's before we leave, we make something that we can heat up, or sometimes it's just making something in the kitchen area of wherever we're staying, and we pick up groceries when we're there. But there's lots of good options. Bringing hard-boiled eggs along, having like some kind of breakfast sausage that you can heat up. Making an egg bake or some kind of egg muffin is a good idea. Or a lot of times we'll make some kind of hash, like a sausage and sweet potato hash, that we can just heat up. So again, I want quick things when I'm traveling. I don't want to spend all my vacation cooking, but I do want to have that healthy breakfast. Protein shakes are another thing. Sometimes I'll bring my Ninja along and just make a quick protein shake in the morning. So that's what we usually do, is make a healthy breakfast. And then also I usually plan ahead for some kind of lunch. So typically when we're traveling or on vacation, we'll be out and about during the day. So oftentimes I'll have something that we can pack in a cooler and bring for lunch, again, I don't have to stop and worry about finding a place to eat, and I know I'm gonna have a good healthy meal available. So there's lots of options for quick healthy lunches. Something like, a good quality deli meat and make a lettuce wrap out of it with some veggies and hummus or veggies and guac. One of my clients today was thinking about getting a rotisserie chicken. She found like there's a Walmart close to where she's staying. She can pick up a rotisserie chicken and make that into a salad. Sometimes I'll buy canned salmon and just make a salmon salad with, diced green apple and celery and sunflower seeds and olive oil and make that into a salad. So, I just kind of think through what is something really quick and easy that we could have for lunch that will keep us full and just be a good, healthy lunch option. Then we usually eat out once a day because, as I said, when we're traveling, we want to enjoy local food and try new restaurants. And I enjoy food, so I want to be able to still enjoy food when I'm traveling, and I really want to be able to eat healthy most of the time. So that's kind of the balance that my husband and I have found almost always when we're traveling. That's kind of the pattern that we follow, making a healthy breakfast and lunch and then eating out for dinner. Okay, so that was tip number 5, and my last tip for you, this is another one kind of to think through before you leave, but it's to decide in advance how many exceptions you will allow yourself. So inside of the Emerge Weight Loss Method, one of the pillars, we talk about making exceptions, because as I said, if we want to eat clean as a healthy lifestyle, then you have to also be able to give yourself permission to enjoy food socially or on vacation or on holidays. And so before you go on your vacation, just think through, are there some exceptions, things that you wouldn't normally eat in your everyday life, things that aren't maybe necessarily, fueling your body, but they're more just to enjoy. Allow yourself to have some exceptions on your vacation, but decide in advance either what that will be or how often that will be, just so that you have some boundaries around it. Because I have found from personal experience, if I don't decide that in advance, it's easy to allow myself to, my husband and I, one of our things is we love like homemade fudge. So sometimes on some vacations, if there's like the homemade fudge shop, we'll get a piece of that. Well, it's really easy to do that one day, but if I don't plan ahead, then I'll be like, I just want another piece tomorrow and the next day. So really just think through, what is your limit? What are your boundaries? Allow yourself some exceptions, but put some boundaries around it. Okay, so those are my 6 tips for you. I'm really curious to know which of those tips are you going to try on your next trip. So let me know, put in the comments, whether you're watching live or on the replay, what tip are you going to use, or what will you do a little bit differently the next time you're on a road trip or vacation or traveling in any way. And then also, as I mentioned, this is the type of situation that we can talk through in the Emerge Weight Loss program. So we can talk through how to handle traveling and social situations and events, as well as, a multitude of other things. So if you're really ready to start working on creating that clean eating lifestyle and having a better relationship with food so that you can lose weight and keep it off for good, then I would invite you to apply for a complimentary Lose Weight and Keep It Off breakthrough call so that we can talk about your situation and figure out what would be the next best plan for you to really start losing that weight in a healthy and sustainable way. So you can go to ChristinaJohnsonWellness.com/apply to apply for that complimentary session. I'll put the link in the comments as soon as I'm done here. And just thank you so much for watching today. If you have any comments or questions about eating healthy while traveling, please put it in the comments. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have. So bye for now, and we'll talk again soon.